Hey, thanks for checking out Down to Basics. I've got another rhythm video today. Something I came up with in the classroom today. I was in the middle of teaching a lesson and I found out that some of my students were more visual learners. So I decided to post a video today about how to count out tricky rhythms. Today we were working with syncopation. And what syncopation is anytime you have a beat or some kind of rhythm that is stressed or accented in between each downbeat. So that means they're on some kind of subdivision. The note is on the and or the e or the depending on what you're subdividing by. So instead of thinking about all the math about fractions of beats, I think it's easier to think about equivalent rhythms and then just see how many beats you need to get to the end of the measure. So if I have a quarter note, don't think about it being one whole beat. Think about it being the same thing as 2 eighth notes, equivalent beats or equivalent rhythms. They're both equal to 1 beat, but just think about different types of rhythms and subdivisions. So if that's true, that means that 1 eighth note by itself is the same thing as 2 16th notes. Okay, good to go. Now, in order to get these syncopated rhythms, if I'm not just starting with half of a beat, I can also use dotted rhythms. So if I see something like a dotted quarter note, it means the dot means you take however many beats the note is worth or the rhythm is worth and add half of its value back to it again. Now, that's simple enough. When you have whole entire beats, a dotted whole note would be half of a whole note is 2 beats, so 4 plus 2, 6, easy. If I have a dotted half note is 2 beats, half of 2 is 1, 2 plus 1, 3, easy enough. Same with our dotted quarter note. That means that you take 1 beat, half of 1 is a half, so a dotted quarter is a beat and a half. Now, simply put, a dotted quarter note is the same thing as 3 eighth notes. Same amount of beats as 3 eighth notes, because I'm taking my 1 quarter note, 2 eighth notes, same thing, and half of it again means now I have 3 eighth notes. Simple math, which is the kind of math I like. Okay, so then if I have a dotted eighth note, if 1 eighth note is 2 16th notes, that means a dotted eighth is 3 16th notes. And that is everything that I need to know in order to know how to count out these tricky rhythms. So I'm going to put a rhythm down here, and as an example, we'll count it out how to do the counting of that measure. So I'm going to use dotted eighths, I'm going to be using 16th notes, dotted quarter notes, and a single eighth note by itself. So I'll have similar rhythms back to back. Let's have a dotted eighth to a 16th, then maybe a 16th to a dotted eighth, a dotted quarter note, and a single eighth note. So something like this. So if I want to know how to count that out, I just look at my chart. Now, it doesn't matter if I start with a rest or a beat or any kind of different rhythm, I always start on beat 1. There is nothing before beat 1, so if I'm counting out a measure, I start on 1. So that one is done for me. Now it looks like that's a dotted a dotted eighth note. So that means, where's dotted eighth note? Right over here, 3 16th notes. I start on beat 1, and I go 1, 2, 3 16th notes. Okay, so now it looks like my next one starts on the of 1. So my next one is on It looks like it's a 16th note, so that means 1 16th note, still on the 16th note line. Next rhythm would come in on beat 2, so I'll fill that in. It is also a 16th note, 1 16th note, so I continue there. The next one starts on the E of 2, so I put that in, and it's a dotted eighth note. Again, 3 16th notes. 1, 2, 3. Looks like the next one starts on beat 3. Okay, so it's a dotted quarter note. So that means 3 eighth notes. Now I'm on the blue line where my eighth notes are. 1, 2, 3 eighth notes. My final beat starts on the and of 4. Looks like it's a single eighth note, and that's all I have left. So I know that I counted it correctly. 1, a 2E, 3, and 1, a 2E, 3, and 1, a 2E, 3, and 1. So I can count this rhythm by just breaking it up into its smaller parts. Now, if you do it this way, you can do it very visually, enough practice, you can do it in your head, and you don't have to worry about fractions of a beat and adding things together. Just think about equivalent rhythms and how many beats you need in the measure. It's as simple as that. Counting should not be that stressful anymore. Thanks for checking out Down to Basics.